And here we are live again for 30 Days of Thought. Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Andrew. How are you, brother?
Fantastic, fantastic. So, just if this is the first time you're watching Paul and I doing this, Paul Lucido, my good buddy, over on the other coast. We're inspired by Jay Doran's 30 Days of Thought. 30 Days of Thought is a book that is, I think, allows us to kind of explore our minds. It's a book that allows us to really dig deep into different concepts and things that Jay shares with us. And the idea is you read the passage that Jay wrote, you write some notes about it, and then from there you record a video. Paul and I we're trying to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, and by doing that, one of the things that we're uncomfortable with is live video. There's so many great people out there that are just awesome with live video, and we're inspired by those people. And Paul and I said, let's try to do this ourselves. And today, our topic is cultural alignment. Cultural alignment. All right, so listen, why don't you start this off? You kick this off, and we got already some viewers. My buddy Chris Griffith, who I just had the pleasure of meeting out in D.C. for NAM LegCon. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. So awesome meeting you and hanging with you in D.C. But please, Mr. Lucido, take it away. You start this off because you always set the tone, actually, and really get the essence of the story. Eric Peck, who's right in the other room. Hey, Eric! He just knocked on the wall. All right, Paul, you take it away. I'll shut up here.
That's all right. No, it's all good. So, yes, Andrew on the East Coast, New York, Paul Lucido here on the West Coast in Corona, California. And we're glad that you guys can join us today. So, look, we're going to dive right into this. The word of the day is cultural alignment. This is what Jay Doran is digging into. Just to kind of tee some things up, so kind of lay some foundation, many of you who have watched some of the videos I've done in the past, some of the interviews that Andrew and I have done together, speak to culture, company culture in particular, how that culture impacts a company and where it leads from there. So what I want to do is I want to tee up a couple things. One of the things that Jay is talking about is his ultimate goal here is to basically essentially say that convictions create culture. So your beliefs, your behaviors, and how convicted you are into that theoretically creates a narrative, not only for yourself, but what I like to call a narrative, a collective narrative, as it relates to a company culture. So let me just say this. You've heard this before. Culture is something that is earned over time. It is not just initially created off the cuff. Now, you could set certain values, a mission statement, and basically project what you would like the company culture to be. And of course, you could aim to move in that direction. But really, truly, it's through the cycle of behaviors over a period of time that legitimately dictate what that culture is. So what Jay is basically saying, he's coming from, and I love this guy because I love he always finds a way to tie in philosophy and science into this. And being so interested in science myself and following the guys I follow, like Sean Carroll and Alan Lightman, and a few other guys out there that I have a lot of respect for, they talk about things like entropy. Entropy is something I want to lead off with. Entropy is basically the lack of disorder or predictability. It's a degree of disorder or randomness. And this is something that you must be careful of, because it is something that will actually creep in. Now, it's used in the laws of physics. It's something that we know that ties in with thermodynamics, but we're not going to get into that. We're going to talk about entropy as it relates to randomness, as it relates to the inability to predict what's going to kind of happen as we move forward. Bottom line is, our habits can change the narrative in a company. And what I've kind of written down here is, at the end of the day, cultural alignment is when everyone is in a symbiotic relationship. We're all moving at the same wavelength or frequency, as Jay likes to say, and being within that spectrum, we all move toward a common goal. All departments are in alignment with one another. Everybody is marching to the same beat of the drum. And in doing something like that consistently over time, you begin to create a true culture. And as I always say, not to sound cliche, and this is not my line, by the way, I ripped this from Rework from Jason Fried, and the idea is that culture is not like paint, which is a very thin veneer that can be scratched off. Culture is something that's embodied into the structure of an organization, or like the structure of a lamppost, right? And then it turns to patina. It begins to change organically as the time with time. Companies' trajectories, and even through some course correction, change over the course of time. And again, it's all about the behaviors of everybody. So essentially, and I love what Jay is saying here. I love this part. Culture creates matter. Okay, so he's kind of playing off of the causal efficacy, causal effect of our behaviors actually creating that matter, if you will. So I'm going to kind of leave it there, and let's just you and I jog back and forth a little bit. Andrew, what are your thoughts about that?
So listen, oh my goodness, we have actually the godfather of Facebook Live himself in the mortgage business, Josh Pitts, just comment. Thank you so much, Josh. Appreciate it. So listen, you always go actually so much more philosophical and get into the granular data of what Jay's presenting. I think I become a lot more, from a practical sense. And listen, let's take actually someone who we all know and love, KP. Kevin Perennial is someone actually who can leave PRMG, go around actually to conferences, visit with clients, and not have to worry that the organization isn't going to follow, the cultural or the culture that your management has put in place. And I look at it. Any great leader, when they can separate themselves and they don't have to work on the business, they don't have to work in the business, and they can work on the business. That's actually when they have true cultural alignment, when they know actually that they can be gone from the office and thank you, Don, appreciate that. They know they can be gone from the office and not have to worry about things falling apart, and know that the things will go all in the same direction. That's actually when you have cultural alignment. And I see, make sure I hit actually my notes on this. Basically where the words of the leadership are embedded into the fabric of the organization, so the leader can step away to work in the business, not on the business. I did this passage with my daughter last night. I do this with my 8-year-old daughter because she's just a lot more intelligent than I am, and sometimes she comes up with things that I'll never be able to pull out of this. I'll tell you, she came actually up with this concept of, by doing this, by having a cultural alignment, it's when the business owner can have more fun. And this is a great point. When you're at that point where actually your organization is able to go without you and continue actually to carry your principles and what you've embedded into that organization, that's when you start having a lot of fun. And we see that in the most successful businesses, in the mortgage business, where the leaders actually can go to conferences. They can actually be working on bigger picture things and not be focusing on the day-to-day. And we also see that with the top originators. Listen, top originators, they're doing more with less. I use an example like, we take actually one of the top originators. I was talking with this last week. He doesn't work a lot. He does not work a lot. And I was going to mention his name, but I don't think he actually shared some things that he didn't want me necessarily sharing. But he probably puts maybe 20 hours of work a week, because he has systems in place that he's able to walk away, and the people actually that he left in place are excited and proud to carry that torch. That is cultural alignment. That's at least what I think. Are you with me on that? You feel actually that's a similar analogy?
Well, first of all, I think what you said was spot on, and I just thought you might get a kick out of this. You see that little blue stripe? Can you see that?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Okay. Basically, I'm saying the exact same thing. Essentially, it allows the leader, okay, to work on the business versus being swept up into the minutia of the business. So I do agree with you, and I thought that your analogy using Kevin Peranio, who works for Paramount Residential Mortgage Group, he is one of our partners. He's a prime example of that guy, and he can do that with confidence because, as you just so well said, our team is in cultural alignment. We all know what we need to do. We all work in a symbiotic way, as I said earlier. That's very, very important. And so that gives him the confidence to go out, preach the gospel as he needs to do, or actually attend the events, as you said, where he can gather some good intel and then bring it back to the mothership. And I think that's really a real important thing that you have to do as a leader. But what I really like about what Jay is saying in so many words, he uses a term, I don't know if you picked this up, Andrew, but he used the term WT-M, okay? And it's basically the word thought matrix is what it is. Yeah. And he's got kind of his equation of that. But again, I think in so many words, what we're all basically saying is the same thing. And it all ties into a lot of what I've been saying over the course of time. When you are trying to build a company and you are trying to build the brand and you want people to be able to resonate with the brand of your business, with your offerings, your wares, whatever it is that you're trying to sell, whether you're grinding for loans and trying to, create the all-American dream of home ownership, or whatever it is that you're trying to do, that people will see that marquee and they'll tie it in literally with the behaviors of the company in of itself. So I always say, in fact, shortly after here at about 1:15 California time, I'm going to be heading downstairs and I'm going to be preaching that gospel to our team. And I always tell them, that's just a logo on the wall. It is you people out there. It's our team that elevate the brand. That's what creates the brand. That's what builds its integrity. So if you're demonstrating the right behaviors over a period of time, the probability is good that you're going to get you're going to resonate with others, whether it be to recruit to bring other people, whether it recruit to bring other people to the table, or whether it just simply be, everybody being in an operation, a similar operation of fashion, we're all moving toward the same goal. And it creates trust in the organization as well.
Yeah, fantastic. And by the way, hi Megan, thank you for commenting. I appreciate that, Paul. No, it's great, and I think we're blessed. Listen, we're blessed actually, to have companies like PRMG in the industry that are, huge, giant, corporations that still have that great cultural alignment. So listen, let's wrap this up. We've been going for a long time here. Do you have a passage that you'd like to work on for next week?
You know what? Let me see really quick. Do I have a passage for next week? How about we do this one? We'll do lead through values. I think it'll tie in nicely with what we just discussed. So for those of you listening, lead through values will be the next topic. I would also encourage you guys, please chime in, leave your comments. Also, if you will be happy to, follow Andrew and I, subscribe. I have my Take 5 that I do my independent book reviews, and in some cases I do my reviews on 30 Days of Thought. But we are looking to build an audience so that we can get some engagement. We love likes. Everybody loves to get likes and high fives, which are beautiful. But what we're really looking for is some engagement. And both Andrew and I are going to be doing more interviews with different people coming soon. So we hope you are enjoying this. I know Andrew and I certainly are enjoying this. Right, buddy?
I love it. Listen, I love Jay's content, consuming it, and I love having the opportunity to do this with you, Paul. All right, that's about it for today. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate the feedback.